Welcome to the Biz Gone Social podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are on the Biz Gone Social podcast, and I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that's going to energize your business and help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? I know I do. And welcome, Brandon Leibowitz. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on today.
So tell me a little bit about your business, what you do, and who you serve.
Yeah, I help people get more traffic to their website using search engine optimization. And as long as you have a viable product or service, usually focusing on like local or e-commerce type of businesses, then I could help you get more visibility for your targeted keywords. So making sure that you show up when people search you on Google and that you in the organic, the free listings, and that you capture that traffic. And then in turn, that traffic goes to your website, and then from there, help make sure that that website converts into sales, leads, phone calls, whatever that conversion goal is. So just making sure that you get traffic using SEO, and then that traffic converts into leads for your business.
So how did you get into doing this? Is it something you always wanted to do, or did it happen by accident?
Yeah, I just kind of stumbled upon it after I graduated from college, got my degree in business marketing, and the first job we got out of school was helping a company out with their digital marketing, which they didn't really teach you back in school, back in 2007 at least. Not too much about it. So after getting that first job, I let them know that I didn't really know much about SEO. They said, don't worry, we don't know much either. We're going to learn with you and take you to workshops, seminars, classes. And after doing that for a few months, just kind of realized it's probably the future. Everyone is probably going to have a website, and there's a lot of different ways to get traffic, but SEO is just a way to get free traffic. So really focused on that over the years, just trying to figure out how Google works, how to tap into that algorithm and capture that free traffic, working at different advertising agencies as a director of SEO. And before work, after work, and on my lunch breaks, I work on my own company, and eventually was able to build that up to quit my job and focus solely on this.
That's awesome. What are you seeing some of the trends of lately are in digital marketing?
I would probably have to say AI is just such a big change that one's harder to miss, and it's just taken everything by storm, and we'll have to see what's going to happen, how it's going to evolve. Is Google going to show AI in the search results, or what's going on? Because it is a big, big change.
Are you using AI in your business right now?
A little bit, but not too much, because it's not really accurate. So you don't want to just copy and paste something and find out that it's not accurate and you're giving out incorrect information, which is the last thing you want to happen. So for now, doing a little bit where maybe I'd help me come up with like blog topic ideas where I'm like, all right, here's a keyword that I'm trying to target. Can you give me 10 blog post topics? And then from there, I'll pull them out. I'm not going to have it write content for me yet because it's not there yet. You could have it do outlines if you want. That doesn't seem that bad, where you say, here, write me an outline about this topic. And then from there, you could fill it in. But if you're just asking it to write that article for you, it's probably not going to be the best, and it's going to do more harm than good by giving you incorrect information that then you're going to publish on the internet, which we don't want to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard some nightmare stories, especially, I guess the big one was the attorney who used it to look up cases and they almost lost their license. So not a good thing to do. Let's talk a little bit about, how to increase your website sales and leads using SEO. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me how it's done. Maybe some tips for my audience and what they should do.
You have to rank higher on Google. You need to optimize your website by putting keywords in different places in the coding. So what we see and what Google sees is different. When Google looks at a website, they're just really looking in the coding for you to put keywords in different places. So going in and optimizing what's called like a title tag or a meta description or your image file names, making sure that they have descriptive words before you upload them to your website, making sure you have like header tags, and all the stuff gets kind of technical, schema, interlinking your pages together, making sure you blog on your website, making sure that that blog offers value, and just trying to keep everything structured in a hierarchy that makes sense. So when you're building out your website, you got to think about how you want to create your homepage, your categories or services, subcategories or sub services, and keep building it out in a way that makes sense. That's easy for Google to find, but also easy for people to find, because you want to make it so it's not cluttered. And that's really, really important. It's just making sure that everything is easy to find on your website, especially for search engines, because they're just a robot. And if they're getting lost on your website, they're not going to know where to go. Just like people, if they're getting lost on your website, they're not going to know where to go either. And they're probably going to hit that back button. And we don't want that to happen. So just trying to keep everything nice, concise, easy to find. Adding good text on your website really helps out. So every page on your website needs to have text. Google feeds off text. They can't really read images or videos yet. They're getting better, but they really rely heavily on content. So making sure that you have good content on every single page just helps you become relevant to that search query that someone is entering into Google. If someone is searching for Google or in Google for real estate near me, and then you have those keywords in all the different places that we talked about, then Google thinks that you're relevant to that search term, or at least somewhat relevant. And then hopefully they'll rank you, which probably won't happen unless you build what are called backlinks, getting other websites to talk about you, because Google doesn't really care what keywords or what content you put on the website, because unfortunately they just don't trust anybody, and you have to build trust up. And the way to build trust is by getting other websites to talk about you. The more websites that talk about you, the more popular Google sees you as, and then they look at those keywords on your website. But it doesn't really work the other way around. If you're not building trust up with backlinks, unfortunately, Google's not going to want to rank you, and they're not going to rank a website that they don't trust.
Yeah, I never really understood that. How do you get another website to talk about you to your website? How does that actually happen? It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, so a backlink would be, for example, if you're reading an article in the LA Times, and in there it says Brandon Leibowitz, and you click on it and it goes to my website, I'd be getting a backlink from the latimes.com. So the more websites that have clickable links point to your website, the more trustworthy Google sees you as. So how do you get other websites to link to you? You really have to look at your competitors using tools like Ahrefs or Moz. You could see any website's backlinks, and then one by one you could figure out, hey, my competitors, they got an article written up on the LA Times. Here's the author. Let me reach out to them and see if they would potentially write an article about me, or maybe they got an interview done, or they did a podcast, or they did a blog post or a press release, or they sponsored a trade show event, or they joined like the BBB or Chamber of Commerce, and they'll get a backlink. But you can pretty much reverse engineer their entire strategy and see how they're getting these backlinks by looking at your competitors. And one by one, start reaching out to the sites that seem relevant and authoritative to see if they would potentially link out to you. Because if your competitors are on that first page of Google, it's more than likely those backlinks that got them there. And if you could build similar ones, that's going to get Google to trust you in a similar way.
Is there any other ways to get your website noticed besides doing SEO or having backlinks? And is there any other trick, or what would you say?
Yeah, you could do social media, you could do email marketing, you could do paid ads, you could do traditional radio, TV, word of mouth. You want to try to get traffic as many ways as possible. You don't want to just focus on one thing. You want to try to get traffic from as many different sources as possible. So the more places you have, the more likely you're going to get targeted traffic that's going to convert. SEO is just one way to get traffic. It's just a way to get free traffic, which is great. But there's so many other places that people are searching that they might not be on Google. I mean, the majority of people are on Google, but some people might be just on Instagram only and just feeding off that social platform. And if you know your audience is on there, then you want to be there. But you don't need to be everywhere. You just need to really figure out who's your audience, where are they, and how do I get in front of them at the right times, the right moments that they're actively looking for my product or my service.
Yeah, absolutely. So being that you mentioned social media a little bit here, what's your favorite platform, and what do you think works best in the B2B space?
That one, it really just depends on who your audience is. B2B, everyone says LinkedIn is the best, but really just understand who your audience is and where are they. Because if they're on Instagram, you need to be on Instagram. If they're on Facebook, you need to be on Facebook. If they're on TikTok, you need to be on TikTok. Unfortunately, you have to really take a step back and think, if you're looking for your product or service, where would you go? Because it's not really a best social media platform. It's going to be different for every business, and every audience is going to be slightly different on each one. So you just got to figure out, how do I best tap into my audience? Because for both selling the same thing, it might be great that LinkedIn might work really well for you, but it might not work for me, where we have slightly different audiences that have different wants and needs. Even if we're selling the same product, like t-shirts, they're going to want slightly different designs, logos, styles. And we just got a company for that and figure out how to best reach them at the right moment. So I would always say, look at your competitors, see what platforms they're active on, and see what type of engagement they're getting. If they're not getting any engagement on Instagram, then maybe Instagram's not the best platform, or they're just doing it wrong. But if they're posting on Facebook all the time and they're getting a ton of engagement, maybe Facebook is where your audience is at. So I would look at your competitors quickly, see where they're active, and get ideas based off that.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about, Facebook ads or Google ads. What do you think works better?
I would say Google, because people search on Google. Social media, people aren't searching. You're interrupting them based off interest, demographics, which you could kind of target on Google, but that doesn't mean they're looking for your product or service. Someone searching on Google, they're actively looking, they have that buyer intent. So it just depends. If you want awareness and get your brand out there, then social is good for just getting your name out there. But if you want people to buy, then I would probably say Google. It's probably have a little bit better conversion rate. It's going to be much more expensive because you're paying for quality. Social media traffic is not the highest quality, so that's why it's a lot cheaper, versus Google is going to be a lot more expensive, but you're getting that buyer intent that they want to make that purchase.
Now, how do you track your website analytics?
There's different tools out there, but there's a free one from Google. It's called Google Analytics, and it's a free tool that will show you pretty much everything you want to know about your traffic, where it's coming from, what pages they visit, how long they stay on your website. It tells you a little bit too much information where a lot of people get overwhelmed and don't know where to look. But I would just say sign up for Google Analytics. It's free, and just play around with it. Click on everything. You're not really going to break anything. It's not anything you can really break on analytics. You're just going to learn a ton of information about your audience and what pages they visit, where they're coming from, what languages they speak. They're on Firefox, on Chrome, on Safari, on Internet Explorer, whatever platforms they're on. You can see all that, where they live, not where they live, but like what city, what state, the zip code. It's a lot of information in there that's going to really help you make statistically informed decisions about your traffic and figure out what's working, what's not working, without just guessing, saying, oh, I think this is my most popular page, but analytics will show you, oh no, this is actually your most popular page. And 90% of people that come to this page hit that back button right away. So then you're like, all right, how do I fix this page to stop people from hitting that back button, because it's bringing the majority of the traffic, but the majority of the people are leaving right away. So something's wrong. There's some disconnect there, and you're not going to really know that without analytics set up.
Yeah, I think I read once in an article that the average person stays on the homepage like 30 seconds or something. I forget what it was, but they said that once they leave and they don't do anything else, they probably will never come back to the website again. How true do you think that is?
That's where you got to follow up with them and have multiple touch points. So just having them come to your website, unfortunately, half the people are going to hit that back button. Not sure how long they're going to stay on your website, because it just depends on if your website loads slowly, they're going to hit that back button much faster. If it's a big block of text, they're going to maybe read it for a few seconds and hit that back button. But if you have like a video, something more easy to digest, bullet points, something less text heavy, they might stay on a little bit longer, but still half the people are going to hit that back button. So following them around with remarketing ads or doing social media, capturing that email address so you could send them your email newsletter. It's going to have multiple touch points, which is going to help out a lot more versus just having someone come to your website and leave. You want to capture that information so you could have those touch points to really build that trust and credibility up with them, because you got to build trust with Google to get Google to rank you. Then you got to build trust with people once they get to your website to actually want to use your product or service.
Yeah. A lot of people always ask me this, and, like with social media, you have these followers, you have people that like your page, you have people that connect. How do you turn these followers into sales? Is there, some secret, or is it just hit or miss, or what would you say with that?
I mean, it's kind of tough because most of these platforms lock you in. So they don't let you leave off these platforms. Like Instagram doesn't really give you many options to leave, except for a bio link, where you have a really good incentive in your bio, something for free, then maybe people will click it. But on that, they're just going to watch your video. And then if they like it, hopefully they'll go to your website. But that doesn't really happen that often because they make it really tough to leave those platforms. But as long as you're offering something for free, that's going to incentivize people to want to learn more about you. And then you get them into your funnel. And then from there, you upsell them to the main product or service. But getting people off social is really tough because people are on social not to buy. They're there to engage with friends and families and just really just tune off and disconnect and just check the news, sports, or whatever they're following. They're not looking to buy a product or service. So that's why social doesn't always work the best. Whereas people searching on Google, they're actively looking. There's a little bit different intent behind that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So this is the part of the show where we get a little real. And so what do you like mostly about being in business for yourself?
Probably the flexibility and the freedom that comes with it, even though I work much more hours, but being able to choose what times, what days I work makes it the best. And really just being able to, such with what I'm doing, all I really need is a laptop. So being able to pick up and travel and makes it a lot easier. So those are the more important things or aspects of having my own company that I really enjoy, just that freedom and flexibility that comes along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know a lot of people talk about the glamour of being in business, that it's so much fun. And when you tell people you have your own business, they go, oh, that's really cool. But both you and I know that there are some challenges when it comes to owning your own business. Today, right now, at this point, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you face in your world?
Really finding good quality or qualified employees that know what they're doing and have some experience without saying that they know SEO and then finding out that they don't really know SEO or they know old tactics that don't really work anymore. So just hiring and finding good quality employees is not the easiest at all. And I don't think it's ever been easy. It's always tough, but I feel like right now it's a little bit tougher just finding good people that were wanting and willing to work.
Yeah, I would say that I actually literally had to hire a company to hire somebody for me. And I've had now this person for a year, almost a year and a half now. And I've never looked back. They did such a good job. And one of the things and that all came out of actually hiring somebody that couldn't read, which is easy to do in today's world because somebody else can fill out an application. And then if you have a Zoom interview, and I also wanted to hire somebody in my time zone that lived on the East Coast. So it made it, so I just didn't want to deal with time zones anymore. Yeah. So, what would be your biggest piece of advice to someone out there that's maybe just started out, maybe is a seasoned business owner, or maybe is thinking about owning their business? Maybe one piece of universal advice that would help them move forward in their life and encourage them.
Probably getting a mentor is something that really helps out. And such if you're trying to have your own company, having someone that's been there and done it, it's going to really give you insights of what works, what doesn't work, or at least give you some insight of what's going to help make you kind of just be more efficient and grow a lot faster versus having all these mistakes and trying to learn from them, which is great to have those mistakes and learn from them. But if you could avoid them by having someone that tells you what's going to happen and teach you those lessons versus you actually learning them yourself the hard way, that really helps out a lot. So I always tell people if you can find a mentor, that's going to really help you grow your business and save you a lot of time and headaches.
Yeah. What would you say is like a favorite book you've read that has helped you in your business?
I would say there's this book called Always Be Testing. And that one just lets you know that you should always be A/B testing your website, seeing what works, and then figuring out, all right, if I maybe add some text, like if I changed my add to cart button to buy now from e-commerce, let's see if that creates more sales. And if so, great, let me change it from buy now to maybe it's orange. Let me change the color to blue and let's see if that increases sales. And keep testing and testing and testing and really never stop testing because there's no perfect website. There's always room to grow and optimize and really test against it to find a better converting way to just grow that business.
I love it. If somebody resonated with you today or needs help with SEO, what's the best way of getting in touch with you? And do you have something to offer my audience?
So anyone that wants to learn more, I create a special gift if they go to my website at SEOoptimizers.com. That's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. And they can find that there along with my contact information and a bunch of classes I've done over the years. I've thrown up there for free. So they can watch that and see step by step how to do a lot of stuff that we talked about. And also if they want to book some time on my calendar, I'm happy to check out their website from an SEO point of view. And they can book some time for free there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brendan, for being a very great guest on my show. And until next week, everyone, this is the Biz Gone Social Podcast signing off. Take care now.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social Podcast. Find us on Instagram at Biz Gone Social for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.